Hi, I hope everyone's having an amazing day today. In this reading, I'm going to be looking into the question, what did the person on your mind think after the last time they saw you or spoke to you? There are three groups to choose from. Group one is the pre-night. Group two is the angelite. And group three is the red jasper. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, group one. You chose the pre-night. So let's see, the person on your mind, what did they think after the last time they saw you or spoke to you? Okay, we have observer, enchanting gifts, and come to the edge. So with these energies, I'm hearing you've grown. So this might have been somebody that it had been a while since you'd seen one another or spoken to one another. And then you had an encounter maybe recently, or this might even be something kind of in more of the remote past, but there's a sense of this person recognize that you've evolved, you've really come into your own, you've blossomed in some sort of way. You're reaching for your potential, or you've actualized some kind of potential, maybe potential that they saw within you, something that could have to do with your looks or appearance, where you'd been kind of understated before, but you've really started to utilize your strengths. You started to, kind of dress yourself or present yourself in a way that enhances almost your natural beauty or qualities and attributes that had been kind of muted or understated before. And now you've found a way to really help to accentuate these things in a sense that has caused their heart to really flutter. There's a sense of you being very attractive, very much sitting in a sensual energy that it feels like has activated something within them where it has really changed the way that they are seeing you through, again, some kind of like physical presentation, or maybe even if this was someone you just communicated with over text, over the phone, over email. It's a sense of your priorities have shifted. Your energy that was able to be translated through those kind of virtual means of communication indicates some kind of maturation on your part. You've set healthy boundaries. You've recognized your own worth. It's a sense of almost like you've cut things and maybe belief systems out of your life that had you limited, that had you playing small with yourself. Whatever the focus is now for your life, or again, just maybe even the way you communicate with this person. You might have made it a bit challenging for them to kind of have access to you, or to sense of like you've raised the standard, you've raised the bar in some way that didn't come across as like playing hard to get or playing mind games or emotional games, but it's almost like you know your worth, you see your worth, you recognize your worth and your value, and that's something that they find like deeply attractive or deeply intriguing. I'm also hearing more than meets the eye. So something about the way that you've presented yourself, again, either physically or just the general kind of vibe that you're giving off. It's almost like they didn't anticipate that this side of you existed, or if they thought that this side of you existed, there was almost doubt within them previously of you ever reaching for that potential, or being brave enough or strong enough or dedicated enough to see yourself through a process of maybe many different layers of changes, many things that needed to take place in your life in order to kind of harness your personal power, use your personal magnetism to your advantage. something that has, again, kind of like reshaped the way that they think about you, the way that they see you, emotionally, the way in which it feels like they're allowing themselves to feel towards you, towards the idea of reconnecting with you, kind of crossing the distance in order to rebuild a relationship if things have been kind of strained, or there's been friction between the two of you, or even the sense of like, if this is somebody you haven't been in a relationship with previously and you're just starting to like get to know one another, it's almost like they're seeing greater future potential than they had anticipated was the case before. Almost like I could see myself with you in a long-term sense. I'm not looking at this just in terms of immediate gratification or kind of like, we'll see where this goes. It's almost like the last time that they saw you or communicated with you, it opened up some kind of wider horizon, that there's an air of mystery still about you. So maybe you've presented as like more reserved. You're holding that personal power rather than allowing your energy to kind of just leak everywhere, or being very kind of loose with your boundaries in some sort of way. There's a sense of almost, you carry this kind of like quiet strength or like a gentleness within this kind of receptivity, where it's almost like, you know who you are, you know what you want, you know what you're gonna allow into your life, and you're not gonna settle for less. And that this is presented almost like a challenge to this person now. Now they have to kind of reimagine what they'd envisioned for the future of this connection. Now there are aspects about you that have really caught them off guard, but in a way that has almost stimulated some kind of interest in giving chase, pursuing you, kind of stepping outside of their comfort zone a little bit as far as the lengths that they're willing to go to in order to win your affections, impress you, kind of they put their best foot forward, or like a different version of themselves that they might have also kept hidden, or that they are now challenged to sort of find deeply within themselves in order to be able to rise to the occasion, not just to continue like communication or interactions with you in the here and now, but it's almost like they feel that they need to do something different in order to keep up with you. You've advanced so much beyond what they had anticipated was possible for you as a person, or whatever any kind of breakthrough you've had, anything where, again, you've kind of like raised the bar, raised the standard, invested in yourself, or you've spoken more of your truth, or you've presented a degree of authenticity to them that they felt was like lacking before in the situation, or that they didn't know kind of existed within you. It's challenged them to kind of reshape the way in which they think about you. They think about the future. They think about the interactions with you. So let's get a few more cards and see what else they were thinking or feeling after the last time they saw you or spoke to you. Okay, so we have the Three of Wands, Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Cups. Yeah, so this is almost like new feelings have developed, new thoughts have developed. They've had to depart from a previous misconception that they had of you, or almost just an assumption that they'd made about like who you are, who you were capable of becoming, where they sort of factored you into their future. Maybe this is somebody who's like reemerged from the past, or if there's still kind of distance and they're like thinking of reaching out to you, maybe they've been like watching from afar. It's almost a sense of like they need to re-strategize, they need to rethink their approach in some sort of way. If they've been watching from afar, they've been witnessing this transformation within you. Your self-talk is different, the way you're presenting yourself, the way you're carrying yourself, what you're allowing in your life, what you're sharing with others, all of that has kind of reframed the way in which they imagine inserting themselves into your life, becoming part of your narrative moving forward, how they would factor kind of you into their personal story. It's a sense of almost like, I thought I knew you, but I didn't know you at all. And what I've discovered, these are great things. These are wonderful things. This is almost like somebody who feels that they need to do some work on themselves in order to be able to face you, or again, to kind of like keep up with you in some sort of way. You may have made this person feel very like intimidated, very self-conscious in terms of like an internal sort of belief that they might have had, or just an assumption they had had about you, what you're capable of, kind of the way in which you love yourself, or the way in which your life was structured, or that you were just kind of recognizing your own sort of innate gifts as a person, physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, the way in which that had been packaged or presented before, or was, communicated with them. There's been some kind of change with that, where it's like the value has increased, where they've almost been kind of humbled, or you've made them sort of like eat their words. Maybe these were things that they said out loud, or could have even just been assumptions that they held within. And it's almost like you've defied the expectations. You've defied the odds. You've broken through some kind of limitation that they had just thought was possible. Like the greatest you are possible of becoming, you've become something more than that. Things that you've revealed to them, even if this is just somebody you're like getting to know, and you've kind of deepened your layer of communication with one another. It's almost like there's a side of you that has been revealed that is very endearing to them. It's something that they're seeing as kind of like a rare quality within people, or it's a contradiction to what had been presented at face value, or what they've known of you up to this point in time, but in like a really good way. It's a sense of there's interest, there's intrigue, there's curiosity, there's a sense of almost like, if I am gonna occupy a space within this person's life in a long-term sense moving forward, if I'm going to write myself back into their story, or if there's a place for us in the future, I'm going to need to step up the pace at kind of what it is I'm presenting. I'm going to need to kind of look inside and make some renovations to who I am as a person, how I'm presenting, in life in general, or just what it is that they've kind of shown you up to this point in time. So this might even be somebody that has felt the need since they last saw you, or since they last interacted with you, to kind of like close their energy off, or maybe take some time away to work on almost like spiritual maintenance, emotional maintenance, preparing themselves for some degree of truth, authenticity, disclosure, kind of, things that they want to reveal about themselves that might almost be something that they hadn't anticipated would kind of come up between the two of you so soon, or like at this point in your journey with one another, or whatever might develop. Or it might have even been things where they had kind of just chalked this up to like, okay, this will be a casual connection, or somebody that might have thought, I'll just come back from the past and create some kind of closure. And there's a sense of like, I don't want this to be over. I don't want there to be limits, or to this to be just kind of a temporary situation. I want something long term. I realized I want something more with this person. My feelings run a lot deeper than what I thought. The perception that I had of who they were, the assumption that I had of the role they would play in my life, it's totally changed. There's some degree of clarity that they have about you, the way in which you demonstrate self-love, you market that energy as self-love to other people, kind of like, these are my standards, this is my worth, even like, this is my ability to sort of adapt and change spontaneously, or as kind of motivated by circumstances that I feel no longer fit my requirements, and like your willingness to walk away from things, or to do that kind of heavy lifting, to be honest, to be vulnerable, to be very authentic, or to make certain changes within yourself, or within your life, or within the way you're presenting yourself. There's a sense of almost this person recognizing that this wouldn't just be a matter of kind of moving forward in a romantic connection and then you're just in a very stagnant energy, that it's almost like you keep this person on edge, or you'd keep them always guessing. They'd have to be willing to change. This is not a circumstance where it's like you could just get comfortable with one another and time passes and then you stagnate, but it's almost like they see you as somebody who is unafraid to take leaps of faith into the unknown. You're unafraid to prioritize yourself and your own well-being, even if that means kind of releasing habits, releasing people, changing your image entirely, rebranding yourself in some sort of way. Even as you get to know people, kind of the deeper layers of what you reveal, it's almost like it's all these different facets of you, but there's so many things that are so varied and so different that it's caused this person to totally reimagine what they thought they knew about you, what they thought thought like their role in your life would be, how they've been showing up, or what they had kind of strategized as like a plan of action. This is where things will go. This is the way in which I'll drive this connection forward in a particular direction. And they're seeing that you're somebody who almost like values your autonomy. You have self-control, or you have the discipline enough to walk away from anything that's not kind of like meeting your standards, even if that sort of like limits you've placed upon yourself, or ways in which you played small in your life, or you dimmed your light in some sort of way. You're no longer operating in that energy. And so it's made this person like totally rethink everything they assumed about you, but in a way that is almost, they feel challenged to like make changes, or even sort of just work to kind of keep an open-minded energy, or open their emotional energy up, open their heart up more to you, or to the possibilities that can develop between the two of you. But it's almost a sense of like, I better play my cards right with this individual, because they're not afraid to make changes or to stand up for themselves, or kind of disconnect from anything that doesn't serve their highest good. And if I'm not showing up as my most authentic self, then this person, you, the viewer, you'd have no problem, even given the history between the two of you, the feelings that are developing, or whatever the circumstance is. There's almost a sense of like, if they got to a point where they were inhibiting or were problematic to kind of you living your life to the fullest, they see you as somebody who loves and values yourself enough. You're brave enough to walk away from anything that makes you question your worth. That you've stepped into this more empowered version of you, or you've revealed this kind of layer of empowerment that maybe always has existed, beyond the surface, that they just weren't privy to up to this point in time. And so there's a sense of almost, there's an importance, almost a degree of kind of urgency that this person feels of like, okay, I need to stop playing any kind of games that I've been playing in this situation. I need to stop being very nonchalant. I need to, not operate with like one foot in, one foot out. I need to kind of commit to something long term, or become more serious in the respect that I'm giving this individual, in the time and attention I'm giving, either repairing a bond between the two of you, or investing in kind of building something more, where there's a sense of they don't want to be left in the dust. They don't want to kind of like watch you move out of their life, because there's a sense of almost, you're somebody that even if people walk away, it's like it's their loss. It's not your loss. You've reached a point within yourself where you understand that anything that is not for your highest good will naturally kind of vibrate out of your existence, or people will self-sabotage, not because there's anything sort of like wrong with you, but because your paths are not aligned. Like you've transcended something in terms of maybe like a lack mentality, or like a defeatist attitude. And so it's inspiring for this person, it feels like, to sort of up their game as far as, kind of moving beyond limits and lack within self. And then it's also reframing kind of the honesty, the dedication, the efforts that they want to make, or feel that they need to make, in order to kind of solidify their importance in kind of your story moving forward. It's like you've stepped into main character energy, and there's a sense of they don't want to be written out of that narrative. They want to be part of kind of this next exciting sort of evolution of you. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know. Okay, and they say, I'm not sure how you will react. So it feels like they have already made a decision within themselves. There's some things that have to be revealed. There's some things that have to be said, that will show you as well a different face, a different side of this person than you've known up to this point in time. And there's a sense of like, is this what you're looking for? You've demonstrated authenticity. You prioritized yourself. You've worked on a glow up, or you've shown me something that I didn't think was in you, or a place I didn't think you would reach ever, or by this time within yourself. So I want to match that. You've taken the lead in that capacity of demonstrating self-love, and I want to match that effort. I want to match your authenticity. But there's like a nervousness now. Again, this like intimidated sort of energy. Is this what you're looking for? Is this what you're going to find compatible? You've shown me some things, and so now I want to show you some things. And is this what will kind of equate for you, as far as like we're on the same page, we're moving in the right direction with one another? If this is somebody who's thinking of reaching out from the past and maybe making amends, or trying to like bridge the gap between the two of you, there's a sense of like, have you reclaimed your power so much? Have you leveled up so much in your life that you just want me to be a distant memory? That any efforts I've made to change, is this not going to be sufficient for kind of what your mindset is now, what your priorities are, how you're vibing at this particular point in time, cycles that you've closed out of? There's almost like a fear of knowing, am I part of your past, or is there still a place for me in your future? They also say, meeting you is the best thing that ever happened to me. So with what has been revealed, or what they've discovered, or what they've come to know about you, again, this is almost the sense of more than meets the eye. There's something about you that has come to light for them that is different from the first impression, or different from some kind of assumption that they had about you. And yet there's still an element of mystery about you that has them very intrigued. They find you to be a very fascinating person, a very interesting person. You keep them guessing, you keep them amazed. If you've had some kind of glow up, or if you've even just been kind of like doing some shadow work, closing out some cycles emotionally or spiritually, or in your life, that glow up, that kind of, you've alchemized some kind of wounding into wisdom, pain into power. It's seen by this person, again, in terms of just you're glowing at this particular point in time, and they're just amazed by that. This may be something as well that you're kind of giving them the courage to face some shadows within that they had been sort of hesitant to do, that it's almost like you've shown them it's not so scary, it's not so hard, kind of feeling those feelings, facing those fears, walking away from things that are just kind of limiting, whether that's belief systems or relationships or things that you had going on in your life, that you're giving this person the courage to like change for the better. They also say, I'm truly sorry. So yeah, this could be somebody that, is needing to kind of reach out and make amends. This can also be somebody that, if, you're just kind of getting to know one another, it's still like an ongoing relationship. There's some kind of assumption that they had about you that has been proven extremely wrong. It's almost like they underestimated you in some sort of way, and so there's a sense of almost that they want to like soften their energy towards you, or become more receptive, or more focused, or more attentive, because they hadn't anticipated your worth. They had kind of just chalked you up to be kind of like an average person, and you've demonstrated to them in some way that there's a mystique about you, there's a uniqueness about you, there's a value in you that is only apparent after getting to know you. You're somebody who plays your cards very close to your chest. You don't reveal everything from the outset, or you've gone through some kind of process of change while they've been with you. They've witnessed this in real time, to where it's caused them to kind of reframe how they factor you in currently, and where they see kind of the future heading between the two of you. They also say, I adore you. Yeah, so this person like looks up to you. They admire you. They love spending time with you. They like the attention and care that you give. They like that you have considered them as kind of a worthy candidate for your affections, your time, and your energy up to this point. And so they're placing a lot of priority on sort of like, I don't want to be left by the sidelines. I don't want to be somebody that you outgrow. I don't want to be part of what is kind of eclipsed by this sort of glowing energy that you generated within yourself. I want to keep up the pace with you. I want to show you more of who I am truly, or kind of change the ways in which I've been interacting with you, so that you understand, like, I'm on board with this element of change that is apparently, part of your personality, or maybe it has to do with kind of where you're at in your life at this point. That this might be somebody who in general is kind of fearful of change, sort of like stuck in their ways, and you've inspired them to sort of move out of their own way and allow those kind of beautiful transformations to take place. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got H, V, Y, D, E, L C I M Z X N U W Q H A S N R and P. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Angelite. So let's see, what did the person on your mind think or feel after the last time that they saw you or spoke to you? Okay, we have Unfinished Symphony, Never-Ending Story, and Treasure Island. So these energies I'm hearing, I really missed out. So it feels like this person was filled with a sense of regret, almost like the bottom dropped out of some kind of egoic energy they were in, some kind of stance that they had taken. Maybe this is somebody that like walked away or didn't really have the intention of committing to you, has kind of like made it very difficult, created some kind of uncertainty within, where even if you're still interacting with them, or this could have even just been someone that saw you from afar, if they walked away, but it's almost like you are a master of the art of detachment. They're definitely seeing that they made a wrong choice in this situation to either put like unfair expectations upon the circumstance, or to be very kind of petty or triggered by something and kind of just like easily walk away. Might be somebody who's like a master of self-sabotage, and things are going very well and then they ghost you, or create some kind of upset energy where you had no choice to walk away. Or it might have been something where it was kind of just they made you feel sort of one way, things were going well, and then, just kind of all of a sudden they abruptly changed their approach to you, their position in this situation. And they may have kind of been in sort of a smug energy, like they were in the right, they had the upper hand, they did the correct thing in this circumstance. And since they've almost like seen you, or since kind of the last time they've heard of you or like spoken to you, there's a sense of almost, they feel that they've put themselves in like a 5 of Pentacles energy, that there's some kind of wall that now exists between the two of you that was unfair to put up. There's a sense of almost recognizing you're not going to chase them, you're not going to run after this person. And so if they expect to kind of course correct in this situation to make up for the past, it's going to require them to do things that are very outside of the ordinary. There may be something where they're needing to kind of own their feelings or announce this in kind of like a public way, where they're needing to sort of claim you, or make it very clear to people in their life that like, I choose this person, I choose this connection, that they might have done quite the opposite before. They could have tried to like keep this hidden in some sort of way, or misjudged you in the situation, like you didn't match up to what friends and family would kind of want for them in a partnership. Or, if there were any kind of like differences between the two of you, they might have said, well, maybe we're too different to kind of have compatibility in a long-term sense, in a way that is kind of traditionally sort of accepted, or anything that was kind of like taboo or out of the ordinary about your circumstance. Maybe even just in the way that they could have had intense feelings for you, and that this made them feel very disempowered, and so they kind of pushed you away. It's a sense of like, this is their loss. They've missed out on some opportunity. to invest with you, or a decision to kind of walk away. It's like the grass wasn't greener on the other side. They're seeing kind of your worth and value now that some sort of distance has been made. This might have even been just like a missed opportunity that has them kind of like wrapped up in their headspace. If you're still dealing with this person, you're maybe getting to know them. There could have been like a point of awkwardness almost where you thought, okay, they're going to confess deeper feelings, or they're going to make this official. Maybe it's like even a crush situation, they're going to ask me out, something's going to happen. Or maybe you took that first step towards them and they rejected you, or that was met with silence in some sort of way. They've had second thoughts about that, to where it's almost like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? That wasn't the honest response, or it was very fear-based, or it was very kind of, it didn't work out as they thought it would. The result from all of that, they didn't end up in like a better position. They don't kind of like feel that they are in sort of the right place within themselves or in their life after something has happened. That it's almost the idea of like one step forward, two steps back. Something that has happened, it's like put the two of you two steps back. It feels that there's almost like a determination to try and make matters right with you, but there's a confusion as well. I don't know what I could say at this point or do at this point that would make things better. I don't know if I'm strong enough to like claim this relationship in the light of day after things that were said or done behind the scenes, or even if just behind the scenes might even mean like internally within themselves. They could have fed into a lot of doubt, treated this like you were too good to be true. And so they've always kind of moved like one step out of the way, kind of dangling a carrot in front of your face, and then sort of removing themselves or keeping themselves at a distance. And there's a sense of like this approach to you in this situation, it's only sort of harmed them. It's only created like a block or some kind of discomfort between the two of you that is like really unnecessary. And it feels like since they've seen you, like they're seeing you from this kind of like removed energy, or something that is almost their last kind of interaction with you. Again, could have been sort of standoffish, kind of cold, whatever they had said or done. It wasn't the true reflection of kind of the affection they have for you, the feelings that they hold inside. And it's almost like I've created obstacle within this situation that is not what I wanted to happen. This is not how I wanted things to turn out. It's almost like it's taken a turn for the worst, or even inside of themselves, where their feelings sort of like I've messed things up, or we're moving in like not a good direction. And so it feels like it's something that they're very kind of slow to really understand kind of what they can do, or to bring themselves to that place of kind of making matters right. There's a sense of almost like, I don't want our story to end this way. It feels like it's very painful to watch you move on without them. If this is somebody that's just kind of like watching from afar, if there's been like no contact between the two of you, and they're just kind of like lurking in the shadows, it's a sense of almost like every step forward you take in your life, it hits home that like I should be with this person at this point in their journey. I walked away from a good thing, or I let a good thing slip between my fingers. They might have even like they might even equate you with kind of like the one that got away, or something that has kind of like happened. Again, if you're like still in contact with this person, where it's almost like there's been a divide that has been created between the two of you. They could have spoke honestly, and instead they chose to withhold things. They could have admitted to feelings, or reciprocated your efforts, and instead they chose to ignore them, or to kind of reject you in some sort of way, to kind of create dissonance within the harmony that you had with one another, to doubt kind of the potential between the two of you, and to have actions that sort of corresponded with that doubt. So anything that's happened, it's almost like there's regret over that in some sort of way. Like, I made the wrong choice. I made the wrong decision. I've handled this situation improperly. So let's see what else they thought or felt after the last time they saw you or spoke to you. Okay, we have the King of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, so they see you as the full package, as somebody that they're going to need to work extra hard to kind of like earn your trust back, win a place in your life. There's a sense of almost, they felt that their biggest fears and insecurities were kind of mirrored to them, or are mirrored to them. If this is somebody that like continues to watch you from afar, but not really like say anything, not kind of give any indicators that there are deeper feelings here, it's almost like you make this person very aware of their shortcomings, very aware of kind of the ways in which romantic situations that had fallen apart in their past, they're aware now of the devastation that that has caused to them emotionally, in terms of like, this is somebody that shuts down at the sight of intimacy. This is somebody who craves long-term partnership and closeness with another person, and then when it comes into their life, or like when you've come into their life and you're accessible, you know, the vibe is right, the recipe is right between the two of you, that they're failing to act in a way that kind of brings you assurance. You know, they're being vague, they're being mysterious, or they pushed you away altogether. And so there's a sense of almost like, why do I do these things? Why did I call this blessing into my life? Or how could I have been so blind or so ignorant to not see that like the best thing that ever happened to me was right in front of my face in the form of this person? And I pushed them away. I let them slip through my fingers. I hesitated. I didn't act. You know, I kept doing things that I knew were kind of like pushing buttons, pushing triggers, making it very kind of difficult for reciprocity. This might have been somebody that almost kind of triggered you into a chaser mode for a period of time, and then you've discontinued that chase. You've closed the door, you've closed the cycle, you've attempted to move on in your life in some sort of way, and they continue to watch you from afar, it feels like, or think about your interactions with one another. And there's an energy of regret, but it's almost like they feel very confronted by their own ego. Like they can't match up to the very heart-centered energy that you bring forth, and it's an uncomfortable truth. The things that they would need to kind of release from within themselves, or efforts that would need to be made in order to win you back, or at least to kind of like get on the same timeline with where they feel like you're headed. They feel like you're somebody who deserves the world. You deserve, you know, kind of that happily ever after, and they almost question, am I that person that could give that to them? Could I even go through enough transformation in a reasonable amount of time to be able to become relevant to this person again? It's almost a sense of feeling like I can't give you what you want, like I'll continue to disappoint you. So maybe it's best to kind of just keep distance, or allow this circumstance to, you know, fall even further apart. They may be very much kind of stuck within sort of a self-deprecating, like a defeatist attitude at this particular point in time. You know, it may even be something where it's kind of like the moment was right, the recipe was right, all I needed to do was speak, all I needed to do was show some degree of affection, all I needed to do was be honest, and instead I chose stoicism. Instead I chose, you know, to be cold, to be kind of rude, or to, you know, just sort of like shut down this person's efforts. It's almost like they recognize efforts that you've made to be patient with them, to hold space for them. And there's a sense of like, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve somebody like you. I don't deserve to be looked at with compassion, because it's almost like they're well aware of sort of this tendency, or this woundedness within, that has caused them to kind of shut down, or to push people away. Again, somebody that like desires closeness, they desire intimacy, they desire partnership, they desire love, and not just with you, but it feels like other circumstances in their life, they've called that in, or the potential of that in. And then right at the moment of like, okay, we can build in that beautiful direction, they push people away. So they feel very triggered by this circumstance, by you, by what they're seeing. or by what has kind of taken place. This is somebody who's kind of like in an introspective energy and very frustrated with themselves. Why do I act this way? Why have I let kind of these wounds fester and now I'm in this kind of closed off energy? Why do I habitually kind of call in beautiful opportunities with beautiful people and then I sabotage that? I create wounding. This person recognizes and understands that they run hot and cold in some sort of way, and there is regret over ways in which they've demonstrated that to you, or that's been kind of the tone of your interactions, or again, like a circumstance where this might have been like cut off, or they ghosted you in some sort of way. They switched up their approach to you. This wasn't just accidental. This isn't just something that they're oblivious to. It's a pattern within them that it feels like it's an uncomfortable truth that sort of like they are now facing, or they can't ignore that at this point. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know. Okay, and they say, I'm taking a leap of faith. So it feels like this leap of faith is kind of admitting that they were wrong. This may be somebody that points the finger of blame. They're used to saying it's everybody else's fault. It's everybody else's problem. People bring this side of me out, or they expect too much. They're demanding too much. And yet in the circumstance with you, there's almost a sense of seeing you were never asking for too much. You were simply asking for reciprocity, or you've held a lot of space for this person without pressuring them to change. You accepted things that they find very unacceptable about themselves. And so it feels like even this kind of act of starting to be honest with themselves about kind of their role within their own suffering, or any kind of confusion, misunderstanding, hurt, or silence or distance that has occurred within this situation. It feels like that's a leap of faith. It's a first step in the direction of change, and it's instigated by you through this recognition of like, I see what I have now that it's gone. I recognize the worth and value of what you were trying to offer now that I've rejected it, or I've kind of like stonewalled you, and you're no longer making efforts in that capacity. They also say, I see things differently now. Yeah, so this is somebody that it feels like is still within that kind of like rigid stance within. They're not necessarily ready to like offer an apology, make amends, or to, they're not even capable necessarily, it feels like at this stage, of doing anything different than how they've been operating. Like it's not you, it's them. It's some kind of wounding that has created this almost like fear of letting people in too close, out of like being seen for who they are, being hurt, being abandoned. It's almost like hurt people. So they've called this beautiful energy, this beautiful experience, this beautiful person that is you into their life, into their reality. And rather than kind of cherishing that blessing, they've added in friction, they've added in discomfort, they've made this journey very hard, or they've pushed you away in a sense that wound has become infectious. They've passed on that hurt in some sort of way to you. And so it's been like a humbling process of seeing you recently, or even like reflecting on your last communication with one another, that now they are forced to kind of like sit with that hurt within themselves. They're aware of the disappointment. They're aware of the hurt feelings. They're aware of the confusion that they've caused for you. And it's almost like there's an opportunity. They're at a crossroads at this particular point in time to start to make changes within themselves, maybe just for themselves as a person, to kind of evolve beyond this energy, or in the hopes of like, if I want to win this person back, or soften this kind of harsh energy that has happened between the two of us, then I've got to make those changes from within first. They also say you have the most beautiful soul. So there is disappointment at having disappointed you, having maybe made you feel like they were leading you on, like you didn't know where you stood with this person, or anything where it's like you thought things were going in one particular direction and then they changed very abruptly, like night and day. All of a sudden one day they were totally different with you. And there's a sense of like, I've wounded you, I've hurt you, I've created loss within sort of your life through this situation. But the biggest loss rests with me. I hold kind of that debt of suffering within myself now, and it's something that they can't ignore. It's almost like they feel that pain and suffering that they have caused you to some degree, or they're like aware that it's now something that they need to kind of answer for in some manner. It's almost the sense of kind of feeling, perhaps even feeling very crushed, sort of like the blessing and the gift of somebody like you was presented to me by the universe, and I mishandled this. I hurt you when I should have been cherishing you. And so there's a sense of almost feeling like maybe I'm now doomed to never experience anything as beautiful as what we could have had or what we shared again. Maybe that's kind of like my punishment. Maybe that's my lot in life, is to recognize what I have now that it's gone, or now that kind of the tide has turned in a more sort of pessimistic direction between the two of you. And it's a sense of almost like I can't outrun this. I can't kind of look away. I might be moving forward or pretending to be aloof or unbothered, or oblivious, but it's almost like they feel that pain, and it feels like something that has kind of repercussions, in the sense of maybe I won't be entrusted with the beauty of love and kind of the grace of such a beautiful soul again in this lifetime. Or it's a sense of almost like they can't effectively move on from what's happened. And it's like, I need to apologize. I need to course correct, but I know I need to dismantle some things within myself before I can offer you anything more than just kind of more disappointment and pain. They also say you inspire me to do better. Yeah, so this is somebody who has now been forced to kind of stare at their own reflection, their own woundedness, and how this has created challenges, obstacles, hurt, distance, disconnect between the two of you. Something that it feels like they recognize they can't keep living their life this way. They can't keep ignoring these wounds. They can't keep avoiding this shadow work, because it's almost like they're running out of options to experience kind of something very, very beautiful in life. It's almost like the tragedy within this situation is that you offered them love and they responded with coldness, or presented woundedness in exchange for that love. And so there's a sense of like, I need to clean up my act. I need to make some changes within myself, because even if I'm moving forward, that suffering accompanies me. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got E, F, C, Q, K, D, T, X, P, L, J, Y, U, C, F, V, I, V, O, and A. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offered those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the red jasper. So let's see, what did the person on your mind think or feel the last time they saw you or spoke to you? Okay, we have a change in the wind, co-create, and Treasure Island. So with these energies, I'm hearing a beautiful future. So it feels like the last time they spoke with you or like spent time with you, there's a sense of like, I can see myself overcoming whatever challenges life presents me with confidence, as long as I have someone like you by my side, or like you specifically. It feels that this person is kind of, they may have had sort of like a time frame or like a plan of action for themselves, certain things that they wanted to like accomplish in life, and then you kind of like come into their world, come into their reality. Maybe like feelings develop between the two of you, but you met through circumstances that weren't necessarily like a situation of romance. So like a friend that's developed feelings, or, you know, like an office kind of romance, or even just, you know, somebody that you might have met with the intention to date, and they were trying to just keep things casual, trying to just keep things surface level. But they've opened up in some sort of way to kind of reframe the vision that they have for themselves and their future to become more inclusive, to like have you be a part of that. There's a sense of almost like we work well with one another. Our energies merge very well with one another. Your dreams and visions for the future, even if they're very different, even if you're, you know, you're walking down two different paths in life, you know, you've got two very different like personality types, things that you do for a living. If this is almost like, you know, the yin to the yang, kind of like opposites attract in various sort of ways in terms of how you live your life in a material sense. One of you may be kind of extroverted, the other person could be introverted, or you know, somebody that is kind of like out in a public sense, and the other person could be sort of operating in the shadows. There's a sense of like it just works with the two of us. We balance each other out in a way that is very beautiful, to where if they'd had their doubts, or had kind of like kept this situation at arm's length, or almost like, I'm not going to get my hopes up, I'm not going to place too many expectations, I'm just going to like take this as it comes, take it day by day, or they looked at this circumstance almost as having like a secondary role in their life because they had other things going on, other priorities, or even somebody that was almost like, I don't want to hold you back. I don't want to make you think that because our lives are very different, or our goals, or what's kind of required of us in this life, that there's seeming incompatibility, or you know, maybe like your work takes you both in different directions, or, you know, just takes up a lot of your time. There's a sense of almost like, I want to find a way to compromise. I want to find a way to kind of like make the most of the time we do have with one another. I don't care about the fact that it looks different on paper than what other people might think would be sort of like the right partner for each of us. I don't care if it's a challenge, if it's going to require you know, flexibility or sacrifice in order to be able to like make this connection work. I don't want you to feel that you have to settle in your life in order to accommodate me in this connection, and I also don't want to settle in my life in order to accommodate you and this connection. But this is almost somebody that feels it's worth the effort or the investment to kind of move some things around in their reality, things that they are able to kind of change or shift around in order to create more time for you, create more importance for you, create more of almost like where you know you're meaningful, you know that you matter, something where it's almost like they're moved into more of like a tender energy. They're motivated to like help you, even if you don't need help, you don't need a hero, you're like the hero of your own story. There's a sense of almost like, I want to be that kind of partner with you. I want to be somebody that you know, is there for you, even, you know, if you think that you can handle everything on your own. I want to be that like safe space where you can at least decompress at the end of the day. I want to be that shoulder that you can cry upon. You know, I want to be that person that you can come to with your concerns, and I'm not just going to respond to that as somebody kind of motivated romantically, but I want to be like your best friend, your confidant, and your lover. And there's a sense that they really feel that you have stepped into those various roles for them as well in a way that is very seamless, very natural, like it feels right. There's a sense of that this person doesn't want to kind of like explore other options. They don't want to see if there's somebody better out there. There's a sense of like the more that they get to know you or spend time with you, or that you're willing to kind of go with the flow or be very flexible with certain things happening in their life, or that they have been tasked or challenged to kind of step outside of their comfort zone or to hold space for you while you are in the midst of kind of pursuing certain things as far as like career, abundance, long-term goals and dreams that you have. It's almost like it's an honor to be this kind of safe landing place that you come home to when you've reached certain milestones. I love that I'm the one that you share your good news with, or I want to be that person that you're kind of like you're celebrating with. I want to be that person that's there for you, in times of trouble. I want you to know that you're not kind of facing the world alone, but I'm here, even if I'm quietly in your corner, even if there's things that I can't necessarily help you with in an outward sense. I want you to know that I am a strong, energetic presence in your life. I'm a strong, actual presence in your life. I want to work to kind of build that aspect where we provide structure and framework for one another in the midst of kind of stepping into the fullness of how we are choosing to bloom in this lifetime as individuals. So they see you as somebody that is very like trustworthy, somebody that accepts them. You accept what they've shown or revealed about themselves. You accept what they kind of keep to themselves, maybe things they can't share, or that you're just not at the point in your relationship of like it would be right to kind of bring these things out into the open. There's a sense that they don't feel pressured by you in any kind of way, but just very like accepted as they are, which is motivating them. It feels like, to again kind of find a way to like make it clear to you that you matter, that you're important, that they want you in their life long term. So let's see what else they thought or felt about you after the last time they saw you or spoke to you. Okay, we have the Four of Wands, the Hermit, and the King of Cups. Okay, so with this Four of Wands, I'm hearing you're the one I'm going to marry. So there's like a sense of certainty with that. Even if you're not at that place in your relationship at this point in time, maybe it's like a newer connection, or you have like some other things going on in your lives and in your reality to where you can't bring it to that like forever sort of energy in the here and now. There's a sense of almost like every day I'm getting closer to that place of confessing these deeper feelings. Every day that we have to be apart, or that it's taking time to kind of build up to that place of permanence between the two of us, no matter how challenging that is, no matter how overwhelming that is, you provide me reassurance. You provide me with a sense of knowing that as uncertain as everything else in my life and my reality is, you're that guarantee. You're that person. You're that heart. You're that emotion. You're that safe space for me that I know I'm navigating towards. You're that person that I want beside me through all the seasons of my life. This is somebody who sees themselves growing old with you. They see themselves kind of remaining forever young with you. This is somebody that it feels like you have opened up a very kind of deep and ancient sense within them of like love, not just in kind of like the honeymoon phase, or we're having a good time and posting a lot of selfies about all of the wonderful adventures we're having, but even within like the quiet moments or in the difficult times, it's almost like they gain strength from your presence. They're inspired by the strength you have within you, or the way in which you've been very adaptable to kind of whatever they have going on in their life at this point, or wherever you're at in your connection with yourself or with each other. There's a sense of almost like, I don't feel pressured to be anything other than who I am at this moment, which is really, it feels like giving them kind of motivation to do some unexpected things in this situation, to continue to invest in creating closeness in between the two of you, in making you feel very seen and cherished, and you are very well received by them. What they've seen, what they've heard, what you've discussed, what they've observed, all of this is kind of fitting in, not just with what they want in a partnership, but with what almost like their soul is telling them, like, I need you. You are somebody who is actually good for me. You are somebody that I know I'm not just gonna spiral into a toxic relationship. I'm not just going to feel like I wasted my time or I wasted your time, but this is like time well spent. Even just sitting very quietly with your energy, or with kind of memories of the experiences of this person may be very nostalgic at this particular point in time, kind of like thinking back on the experience of you. They could have your picture saved on their phone, and kind of they look at that, they look at messages you send, or they think back on interactions, and it's almost like you're the light in kind of this chapter of their life. You're a bright spot in what may be a very dark time or very stressful time, or they're kind of like navigating through some sort of uncertainty. And it's like, with you by my side, everything is possible in the best possible way. With you by my side, I know that I will be okay no matter what life brings to me. With you by my side, I'm motivated towards the future, in a more loving capacity, a more optimistic capacity, or you're somebody that kind of, you bring an energy into their reality that is the very opposite of people that are stressful to them, people that are demanding, people that expect things of them. People that have been kind of like needy or clingy or toxic from their past. It's like you're a breath of fresh air. You're somebody very different from anybody they've ever known or ever met. And you're not a reflection of kind of the past. You are somebody that is a model of kind of the future of who they want to develop into. You fit in very beautifully with kind of this idea of the future that they are trying to form and shape through their present actions in the here and now. There's a sense of like, I don't want to let you go. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose us. I want to do what it takes in order to hold fast to this connection in the times where, we are in kind of a season of stillness. And I want to capitalize upon those energies when, the recipe is right and we can experience this massive growth potential between the two of us, where there can be a blossoming. Like, you make this person bloom into a different version of themselves from the inside. The nature of like what they do for a living, or whatever's going on in their life at this point, they may have to be just kind of very emotionally detached, like they're all business at this point. But with you, there's almost like a safe harbor of kind of like, okay, this more authentic, this tender, this sensitive side, the romantic part of me, that has an outlet. It's a pleasure to love you. It's a privilege to love you. It's something that I look forward to spending time in your company, even kind of like holding space for you to sort of, debrief or decompress from any sort of stress or uncertainty, helping you kind of work through things or problem solve whatever's going on in your life alongside you, either just being that listening ear or offering kind of constructive criticism or suggestions of how you can kind of reach goals better or sort of maximize your efficiency or potential. All of that is something that it feels like fills them with a sense of fulfillment. Like, I'm not just helping you, I'm not just uplifting you, but it uplifts this kind of future potential between the two of us. You are succeeding, you are thriving, and I feel more alive inside. So again, this is somebody that has like long-term plans with you. They see you as somebody that they want with them in the long term. They want to be the one that you need and that you require, because you are the one that they need and that they require romantically, spiritually, emotionally, and actually. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know right now. And they say, I'm frustrated with myself. So if there's been anything that has kind of taken the two of you away from one another, stress with work, other obligations, or, things in your life, things in their life, it's a sense of almost like, I wish that there were a way for us to spend more time with one another. I wish that we didn't have to have this distance. I, wish that I didn't have the wounds that I have inside that make me kind of guarded towards love. I wish that I'd worked on certain things about myself emotionally, kind of coming to a greater degree of self-love prior to meeting you, so that any ways in which I've been holding back intentionally or unintentionally, that I would have transcended these things. I would have worked through these things. It's almost like this person feels you deserve the best. You deserve the best in life. You deserve the best of them. And so there's a motivation here to try and make the moments between the two of you magical, special, memorable, and very sweet and tender. They're not wanting to be a source of stress for you, but they're wanting to be somebody that brings joy into your life, that reciprocates all of the joy that you've brought to them. They also say you're my heaven on earth. So this is somebody, it feels like, that is very motivated to like protect this connection, to infuse energies from themselves within the situation between the two of you that lend to its blossoming. They might be somebody who's kind of like, if they're going through a lot of stress, they may be kind of like trying to keep that to themselves, not trying to like bring you down, not trying to stress you out, not trying to lash out or kind of react to you because they're under a lot of stress and pressure. They may have deadlines, or just kind of their schedules sort of topsy-turvy at this particular point in time, and there's a sense of like, I don't want to create disruption in your life. I don't want to bring this chaos to your doorstep. I value you. I cherish you. I want you to have a beautiful experience of me and with me. And while they recognize that like authenticity is important, to be there for one another through good times and bad, there's almost a sense that at this particular point in time, they feel a motivation or a need to kind of shelter you and this connection from anything in their life that is kind of bringing out the worst in them at this point. Maybe an aspect of themselves, kind of a mask that they must wear in order to kind of navigate through some things professionally, personally at this point, where it's almost like keeping you in kind of a cherished place within that emotional space, a sanctuary that they've created in their heart for this experience with you. But it's almost like the world is demanding of them at this point that they move in a very stoic and a very cold, a very detached, removed energy through what they kind of like need to do at this point. And so there's a sense of like, I don't want you to think that this cold, detached energy would be a reflection of how I feel about you. And so it's almost like they may be kind of keeping this situation kind of at arm's length for the moment while they work through some other things, so that you don't get the wrong impression. Your feelings aren't inadvertently hurt, because it feels like it's very different kind of what the world expects of them at this point, or what they're needing to kind of present to sort of move towards some goals or to deal with certain things, versus kind of like the side of them that you bring forth. They also say, I see things differently now. Yeah, so they've definitely come to understand your importance, your worth, and your value in a way that's like, it is in their highest good to do whatever it takes in order to create a beautiful future between the two of you, or to lay the foundation that kind of opens up that potential of, happily ever after in a very practical sense. So they may be making some very tough decisions at this point in time, working hard to kind of create balance within themselves, or prosperity within themselves, so that they can kind of match your efforts in that regard, what you bring to the table, or to be able to provide you the kind of life that they feel you deserve, or like a version of them that they're feeling would be a better version than how they've been operating previously, because you deserve the best. And they also say, you always know what to say to make me feel better. So time spent with you, conversations you have, or even just like looking at your picture or reminiscing on the times you spent with one another, you're an oasis for them. You're the calm within the storm. You're that beautiful energy at a time when their world may be very ugly, or things that they're dealing with are very stressful, very dark. Their patience is being kind of tested, and then they think of you and all is well. It's like they can breathe again. They remember who they are deep within, beyond kind of what the world expects of them. You bring out that better version. You're a light within this person's darkness, and there's a sense of almost like you are that person that they trust above all others. This connection is something that feels right. It feels like home in the way that nothing else ever has. So let's get some initials. It can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. M, L, W, X, R, Q, U, S C R V I P B U Z G H A and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.